It's got strategy, it's got viscera, it's got bad guys, it's got genetically modified super soldiers who make Iron Man look like a can of beans. This is Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, and we're about to show the entire universe just how huge our balls are. Feels like I wishlisted this game about 40,000 years ago, but the time is finally here, and I am super excited to get my hands on and really dig into all the cool stuff that it has got going. Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, the longest title for a game in existence, is nothing short of an A+ strategy game. It is a YouTube video though, so feel free to like, comment, and subscribe your heart out. This video is going to be a little bit different than our normal style, but there will be some gameplay going on in the background, super edited because there is a lot of downtime in this game on screen when your brain is thinking about all the strategery required to move around.
We will locate and destroy the seeds and the rest. We are discovered.
Now, I don't really do game reviews on this channel. I don't play a whole lot of different games to really get into that whole style of YouTubery, but this game is going to be something that I put a lot of time and effort into because it is the universe that I love, it is the style that I am in love with, and it is every bit the game that I was hoping it would be. The game itself is an actual sequel, if you can believe that, from the original Chaos Gate that spawned, I believe, in the 90s. I've never actually played that game. I didn't even know it existed until I saw this game. So it's actually really cool that this game has some roots in the heyday, so to speak. If you haven't picked up on it just yet, 40K Chaos Gate is a turn-based strategy game. You have got a squad of 4 Grey Knights that are going to be taking on hordes of enemies over huge maps that are procedurally generated with procedurally generated enemies, and all of that is going to be driven by story events as well as outside factors coming from your ship and how you maintain your strike force. Now, if you're not familiar with the 40K universe, go check it out. There are a billion videos on YouTube talking all about it. This game is only going to cover a tiny fraction of what goes on in the grim, dark future of Warhammer 40,000. This is one very small subsection of Space Marines fighting against another small subsection of Chaos Demons. Let's talk about the game though. So everything about this game you may have seen in strategy games coming before this game. There are things like XCOM, XCOM 2, Mechanicus. You've even got things like Front Mission, and a lot of what's come before it has been incorporated into Demon Hunters. This game does a fantastic job of pulling all of the really, really strong systems from earlier games and either improving upon them or leaving them just the perfect way that they were. So if you have ever played a game in this genre before, you will be right at home with Demon Hunters. Now, in 99% of your missions, you are going to have 4 Grey Knights to do the mission with, and those can be any combination of the Justicar, the Interceptor, the Purgator, or the Apothecary. There's also missions where you'll get to play with the Inquisitor, who shows up on your ship as well. In each of those classes, however, there are different abilities that you can flesh out for the character class, as well as different loadouts of gear. You can play each of these classes in very different ways. So, for example, your Interceptors are going to be a melee class of teleporting Grey Knights. They have the ability to unlock that you can actually blink them into different places on the map. And That gets them around things like Overwatch, that gets them around suppression. If they're ever going to run into something that's going to hurt them, you can actually just blink them out of that and wherever else you want on the map. It is an incredibly OP class, and I super suggest having one almost all the time. Next to that, there's the Apothecary, who is also mega important because they're the only class that can consistently heal your other Grey Knights. So they're the only ones that come with the ability to equip the Narthesium, which is the healing tool in the game, and they can also put on Terminator armor. Terminator armor is what's going to make your Grey Knights bigger, bulkier, and tankier, and that actually extends over to the Justicar next, which is another melee class, but it is more of a support leader class. So the Justicar can put on the Terminator armor, but they can also give your other Grey Knights more actions. They can let them move farther around. They actually have an ability that will let them trample through environments and other enemies. They have a lot that they can do within that Terminator armor. And then there are the, last but not least, the Purgators, the ranged, damage-dealing, no melee-wielding weapon Grey Knights. And that is not to say that they are forgotten about whatsoever while we're playing the game, because the Purgators do have access to 4 different types of ranged weapons. So you can actually equip them with the base Stormbolter and then give them a melee weapon as well. Or you can give them one of 3 two-handed weapons, being the Psy Cannon, which is a big AoE damage-dealing cannon, the Silencer, which can disrupt enemy actions like Overwatch or channels, stuff like that, and then lastly there is the Flamer, which is short range but always will attack in an AoE, which will light people all sorts of on fire. It is really beautiful to watch a flamethrower toast 4 or 5 people at a time. Oh, chef's kiss. This game actually does a fantastic job of staying true to the tabletop game as well. So while you're playing, you'll really get a feel for what it's like to play tabletop Warhammer 40k using line of sight, using stratagems, using and picking different war gear for your characters. It is really very faithful to what it means to play 40k on the tabletop. So don't take that literally. Playing the tabletop game is still going to be very different, but you can definitely see the roots in Chaos Gate coming from the tabletop series. While I do want to talk a lot more about this game's mechanics and all of the things that you can do in Demon Hunters, I don't really want to lose sight of the whole review aspect of this video too. So there's going to be plenty of videos in the future to talk in depth about the tactics, the combat, the loadout, every different thing going on in Demon Hunters. But at the end of the video, you'll see a lot of the environmental combat. You'll see a lot of the different enemy abilities, all that sort of stuff in an extraction mission. So that's what's going on in the background. But as far as talking about the game itself, the production and the level of quality of this game, you really cannot sing its praises enough. No, the sound design is incredible, the art direction is incredible, the game is beautiful, it plays almost immaculately. I have had maybe 2 or 3 bugs in my first, I don't know, 15 hours to 20 hours of playing the game, and it is mind-blowing just how polished this game came out. That being said, I do have a couple issues. They are pretty minor in comparison to everything that the game does right, though. Namely, the autosave function is completely aggressive, to the point where you may as well just play the game's Iron Man mode, which is called Grandmaster mode, which just forces you to save and doesn't let you have more than 1 save slot. But even playing in the normal mode, it feels like you're just fucked. No matter what you do, the game is always auto-saving the background to take care of everything, and it's pretty unforgiving. But that being said, It's by no means a deal breaker. We've played these sorts of games for long enough to know that shit happens. I mean, you can't really take care of everything. I personally don't like losing any of my soldiers on the first playthrough when I'm getting the story in, when I'm doing everything as meticulously as possible. I'm not going to let any of my guys die, so I will restart missions and I will reload games to make sure I get everybody intact. But all that being said, that's just again a minor complaint. There are some sound issues as well. Some of the enemies sound like, you know, they're waking up and yawning into one of those ASMR ear microphones, while others are really high impact, super emotion, like really good voice acting. Like some of the enemies are screaming and raging and you feel like, oh man, that guy's gonna kick my ass. And then other guys are just kind of like, huh, huh. But apart from the dopey implication of some of the voice lines, the sound design in the game is incredibly strong. You have all of the really heavy, clunking footsteps of these huge super soldiers in their, you know, metric tons of armor. It's really everything that we've come to expect from, you know, these up-close, visceral 40K games, and that should be commended to the absolute top of the highest mountains and just sung forever. This is far and away one of the very best Warhammer 40K games to be released, and it's not even a full $60 game. I'm not even sure why that is, but honestly, I would have paid $60 for it. If there was a collector's edition, I would have bought that too, and I would have felt so good about it. But regardless, this one goes down in my my hall of favorites, along with the first Space Marine, which was critically underappreciated. Absolutely brilliant fluid game there that flew under the radar for so many people, and that was really sad. So I'm hoping this one impresses a lot of people and really gets to stick it out. I'd really hope they release a lot more content with this game. I'm not even halfway through, I think, but I've been playing pretty much non-stop since it came out, doing all sorts of different missions, all sorts of different builds, anything I can think of to make a character cool in the squad that I'm playing. It's just the most cinematic, pure experience of Warhammer 40,000 that I have had in a very long time, and I have waited. I mean, waiting was the worst part, but if this is what I get for waiting that long, then I will 100% say worth it. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back with more of this in the future. I'll just take you through missions and builds and gear and stuff, specifically go through the story. But thanks again for hanging out. Peace out, everybody. I will see you later.